Welcome, everyone.
Hello.
Hey. How we doing?
Great.
All right. Well, here we have Greg is with us. He's about to talk about something that's really important to every entrepreneur. Because how many people are entrepreneurs? Raise your hand. All right. How many people became an entrepreneur to just get filthy rich? Oh, interesting.
That's really interesting.
That's an interesting no hand raised there. Well, that is exactly what we're talking about. Thanks for coming to the session. We have Greg Watson here. He's here to talk about building a business that's bigger than you, and it's really about finding balance in your life so you can be as successful as you want. But before we get into that, I want to thank our room sponsors, the University of Arizona Forge Venture Advisors, as well as Pima Community College. They're the reason we're able to have this today. And Greg, I'm going to turn it over to you, and feel free to ask questions as we go.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to shed name tags because I don't like them. My name's Greg. Good morning. It is almost lunchtime, and what's the oldest joke? That we don't want to be somewhere between us and food. That's the old bad dad joke. So my grandchildren tell me that I am older than dirt. And I told somebody that my oldest daughter is 54 years old, and you're never supposed to tell somebody how old a lady is. And I love my daughters, but they're starting to get old too. I tell you that because I have lived a great life. But I've lived a great life because I have an awesome wife and I have an awesome family. And I believe that entrepreneurship is an absolutely incredible pathway. But it's only an incredible path if we can try to find balance in our life. And so we're going to spend a little bit of time today. We don't have a lot because if we think about 45 minutes, you can't cram very much information into 45 minutes. So we're going to talk about something that I coined as a phrase, the balance framework. And I've been talking about this in my private consulting groups for quite a few years. And we're going to share one of my consulting stories because he's a gentleman here in Tucson. And it's a little bit of a sad story, but it's a very real story that I think many of you will be able to identify with. And so the balance framework really is about understanding what kind of an entrepreneur are you, and then trying to figure out what your wealth and your aspirational goals are in life, and then how do we create strategic alignment to create the kind of business that you want to create that's going to help you achieve those wealth goals that you have in life, while also allowing you to build the legacy. And for me, that's a family legacy of personal financial wealth, but also physical health wealth, also mental health wealth, and what's most important to me is social wealth. I want to have wealth in my family relationships. I want to have wealth in my community relationships. I want to have wealth in the ability for me to do good and work on social projects that I personally care about. So that's what I want to talk about today in terms of our balance framework. What brought me here is that I'm a lifelong serial entrepreneur, and when I was 19 years old, I was in college, and I had this awesome college professor, and I asked him this question. I said, what are you doing teaching when you've written these textbooks that are being used at these Division I universities all across the country in their graduate economics programs? And he said, Greg, if I taught at one of those universities, I'd be doing research all the time, and I wouldn't be able to be in the classroom teaching young minds like yours. And I said, wow, you mean someone actually cares about us in life? And at that particular moment, this young, wet behind the ears whippersnapper said, I want to retire early, and I want to start teaching so that I can give back to those that have given me so much. And so I set a lifelong goal at that point in time at 19 years old that said that I want to retire and teach. And so I retired when I was 42 years old, and I went back to grad school, and I started teaching at William Penn University. And when we sold one of our last businesses, I went to my wife and I said, we can retire to this beautiful Caribbean island, and we can sit on the beach during the cold season, and we can go inside when it's cold and sit on the beach when it's warm, and in the hot season we can just flip those around, and we can go inside when it's hot and go outside on the beach when it's cool, and we can live this beautiful retirement. And my wife said, our grandbabies are in Arizona. And so my bad dad joke is, I got the sand, not the beach. So I ended up in Arizona, and my first teaching gig was to go to Pima Community College. And I walk into Pima Community College. I taught accounting at William Penn, and Pima Community College said, Dr. Watson, you're not qualified to teach accounting because you don't have 18 graduate hours of accounting. I had 15 graduate hours of accounting. I had 8 graduate hours of finance. I had a whole bunch of graduate hours in a lot of these other prefixes. But you know what? At the university level, we're qualified to teach anything that we want to teach. At the community college level, you have to have 18 credit hours in a specific subject with course prefixes specific to that domain in order to be allowed to teach in that domain. Otherwise, you're not qualified to teach at a community college. You can teach anything that you want at a university, but you're not qualified to teach it at a community college. So I started teaching hotel restaurant management classes at Pima Community College because guess what? I owned and operated hotels for a long period of time. And so my journey brought me from William Penn University to Pima Community College, and later on to the University of Arizona, and now I'm back at Pima Community College because Pima is working on an entrepreneurship program. And I love entrepreneurship. So that's my little bit of my journey. But if you want to understand a little bit about me, I've started 14 businesses, and all but one of them are still in existence. And I think that's a pretty important statistic, because if you want to learn from someone who's done it, I've been out there in the trenches and I've done it. And I've built small businesses that I'm going to gently say weren't incredibly successful. Some of them turned into jobs. They weren't businesses, and businesses are something we need to be able to step away from. And I've built some incredible businesses that were even bigger than some of the businesses that I work for. So this is who I am and where I've come from. But I care about passionately this concept of balance and entrepreneurship. And so when we talk about balance, here's the real quick 30-second version of what balance is all about. And you guys are just like my students. The students put the cameras up and we take a picture. By the way, TENWest will send you all these slides. They're just going to come to you if you just want them. Or at the very end, there's a cute little QR code. You click on the QR code and you hit 3 multiple choice questions and you can download them. Pardon me?
This is searchable. That's why we do it.
Is it really?
Yeah, 'cause then if you don't have to find the file and then search inside the file. You just search inside your
We categorize them in our photos folder?
No, it searches the text inside the photos.
Oh,
So if
wow.
I search for balance, it will find the photo that has
Oh,
it.
wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yes, sir.
What was the company that you started that's bigger than the one that you work for now?
So I like to try to keep a little bit of my information a little bit private, but my strategies have always been to build a business, scale up really, really rapidly, and get acquired. And one of the businesses that people poke fun at me about is that I built a business that scaled up so fast that it was even bigger than Pima Community College. So if you look at the 2024 general fund budget and the 2024 capital budget of Pima, I built a business that was bigger than Pima. And I don't do that to just brag, but you know, when we scale really fast as entrepreneurs, we grow. And we can scale up some businesses really, really big. The first business that I created was a payroll processing company. This is the only one that I really share with people, but I did it in my college dorm room. And I started a payroll processing company, and it was, I'm going to tell you, it was by accident, because I responded to an ad in a newspaper. A gentleman that ran what you would think of as a convenience store said, I need someone to do payroll. And I was a poor, broke, hungry college student. And so I replied. He said he was willing to pay up to 8 hours. I said, I can do it faster, better, cheaper in my own dorm room. I said, so I'll do it for the pay of 6 hours. Fixed rate, no questions asked. But I pick up the payroll, I take it back, and I do it for a flat rate of 6 hours of equal compensation. 2 weeks later, one of his colleagues in the industry called me up and said, I hear you do payroll. And I said, yes. A week later, another person calls up and says, I hear you do payroll. I said, yes. You're laughing at me. What happened? Snowball. Yeah. We accidentally created a business. By the end of the semester, every single guy on my dorm room floor was working for me. We were doing payroll. By the end of the year, I was statewide, and we were going and picking up payroll at the beginning of the week and massively delivering payroll all over the state. By the fall of the next year, we were in 3 states. And by that fall, the attorneys from ADP were knocking on my door, and they weren't very happy with me because I was eating their clients at multiple clients every single week. And I like to scale and I like to sell. So did they offer me some dollars? Yes, and I told them to go take a flying leap. And did they offer me some bigger dollars a month later? I still told them to go take a flying leap. I learned a really good lesson in the sale of my first business. Be polite. Don't go tell them to go take a flying leap like I did. I was young, I was impertinent, I was stupid. But they came back a third time. They were really stupid. They came back a third time with a really big dollar amount, and every single guy on my dorm room floor exited with over 6 figures. That worked for me. How's that for a nice little exit package while you're going to college? I left, of course, with 7 figures. I like that. It went into a nice little fund. This is the balance framework. We're going to spend a little bit of time trying to figure out what kind of entrepreneur are you. Then we're going to look at what your views are about entrepreneurial wealth. Then we're going to try to figure out how do we leverage our priorities. Then how do we align our priorities with the business model and the organizational design and build the entrepreneurial company that aligns with our dreams, aligns with our priorities, so that we build a company that works the way that we want a company to work, to give us the freedom to pursue the wealth that we want to pursue. And this is where things get really exciting, because when you know what your values and your beliefs are, we can build that organization and we can build the team to allow us to fulfill our dreams. And this is the last 2 parts where we nurture the systems, the processes, and procedures, and we cultivate that team to give us balance in our life, balance in our professional life, balance in our organization, so that we can have that time. So I told my wife in our organizations, I want to have 1 week of vacation every single month, and I want to have 1 month of vacation every single year. Is that a pretty good lifestyle to live? I think it is. And it gave me the time freedom to pursue the passions and the dreams that I want to pursue. And it gave me the social wealth to create balance in my life, to build the relationships with the wife that I happen to love, the wife that I want to spend the rest of my life with, and the time to spend it with my family and my children and do the things of the community that I want to do. And eventually, we want to leave a legacy. So I want to share a little bit of a story. Maybe I want to share a little bit of a story. And this is one of my clients. This is not actually him. This is just a fake picture of him. But this is a gentleman right here in Tucson. He was referred to me. He built a great business, a little over $120 million business. And he reached what he thought was the pinnacle of his success. And he went home to his wife because he had this dream. He wanted to sail around the world on a yacht. And that was his vision, his passion in life. He wanted to be able to go sail the world on a yacht. He brought roses and wine home to his wife to have a conversation with her. And she very politely said, "No, thank you. I've built a life without you. I don't want our world to change. I like our life exactly the way it is. So I don't want to go sailing with you. That's not the dream that I have for our life." And the gentleman was just crushed. She didn't exactly want a divorce. She was happy with the life that she had built, but she also didn't want to spend it with him. He had spent his entire life focused on building a business, building an incredibly successful business that on the outside was the portrait of success. An incredibly successful life, but here's the challenge. He lost all of his social relationships. He didn't have a relationship with his children. He didn't have a relationship with his wife. And his health started to very quickly decline because it was just emotionally devastating to him. It was mentally devastating to him. And he just sank down into a state of absolute despair. A couple friends of his tried to help him out. He tried to go to counseling, but just nothing was working for him. And a couple friends finally said, "You've got to go see Greg. Greg will help you get your head screwed on straight, and Greg will help you put your life back together." Because I believe in this concept of balance. Because if you don't get everything put together in your life to accomplish the dreams and the vision and figure out what you want in life, you're probably not going to get it. We spent 5 years together. It wasn't a quick process because were his family relationships gone? They weren't there. His wife he had no relationship there. And his children were successful in their own right. Most of them were in college or out on their own already. They didn't have a relationship, and they didn't really see a need for a relationship. Dad had been gone all of their lives. And so this dream took a while to restore. He had to really prove himself, and he had to rebuild a business that gave him the freedom to provide that environment and those relationships and dedicate himself day after day, week after week, to being the man that he wanted to be. It took 5 years. His wife finally let him back into his life, and he started having relationships with all but one of his children. He has one son that he's still estranged with, but he's babysitting with his grandchildren, and he's having vacations with his grandchildren, vacations with his children. He got his business down to the point where he's in for a half day a week, and he has a team that totally runs that business without him. Can we build the life that we want to build? Yes. But if we don't do it in advance, if we don't think about it, can we lose it all? And it took a lot of hard work for him to rebuild it. So I care passionately about this concept that we call the balance framework. And so it all starts out with you figuring out who you are. What kind of an entrepreneur are you? Are you a creator? Are you a builder? Or are you an organizer? And if we figure out what our strengths are, what our weaknesses are, we can figure out how to then go build an organization. That creator is an incredible entrepreneur. They're full of ideas, but a lot of times they lack the focus to stick to one thing. And so they need to build a team around them that can create that organizational structure and bring order. And they need someone else to really run the day-to-day operations and let them be creative and let them be innovators. Maybe you're a builder and you love building a business, but at some point in time, someone else needs to take it over and take it to that next level. Maybe you're an organizer and you are incredibly innovative at figuring out how to take an old legacy system and innovate new processes, new procedures, new systems, new solutions, and you can take that $3 or $4 million business, bring in a new digital customer relationship management system, new modern digital marketing systems, and we can take that old legacy business and 4x, 10x that business just by modernizing and innovating existing processes and procedures. Are there incredible entrepreneurs of all different kinds of varieties, all different kinds of types? But if we figure out who we are and what we are, and then if we simply go through and we take a look at what kind of wealth goals that we have, what kind of dreams and visions that we want to have for our future, what our vision is, what are our desires for our social health? What do we want to have for our family relationships, our community relationships? What do you want to do in a community? What do you want to do with your family? What do you want to do for your physical health? I have a lot of people that poke a little bit of fun at me because I'm not vegetarian. I'm not into all these really exotic health diets, but I pay a lot of attention to my health. And so I might not be extreme into any one category, but I pick out little bits and pieces of an awful lot of them. And so I eat almost no red meat, but I'm not vegetarian. And do I eat an awful lot of vegetables? Yes, but I'm not vegetarian. And so have I tried to carve out the best bits of things that make my life healthy? And do I talk to nutritionists and doctors about what can I do to make my life a little bit more healthy? If you just look at me, you know that I don't like to exercise a whole lot. And so the treadmill's about as close to exercise as you're ever going to get me. And it's going to be inside of a nice air-conditioned room because I'm not going outside and walking. So I have friends that just love to hike. My youngest daughter just loves hiking the Arizona desert. And I go, that's outside. I don't do outside. So, we have to figure out health that is right for you, not right for me, not right for someone else, but what do you do that's going to fit the right health for you? How do you find joy in your life that's going to bring mental fitness and mental exercise to keep your mind rejuvenated? And I'm going to gently and politely tell you that I told my wife, what better way for me to stay young and invigorated than to be in the classroom with young minds that are going to smart off to you? Because are our youth today ever going to accept a person that is going to talk like I'm talking to you guys today? They don't. They want an interactive classroom. They want engaged. They want an explanation that they can apply, they can touch, they can feel, they can explore and discover themselves. And so is there anything greater than being in a classroom with young minds today to keep your mind young? So I told you, I set a dream when I was 19 years old to retire, to go back into the classroom to teach. Is there a better way for me to keep my mental health young? We all have to find the ways to pursue the mental wealth, the mental health wealth that's going to bring you joy and you satisfaction. And I call these parts of our forms of entrepreneurial wealth. But the next two that I want to talk about I think are incredibly important, because the next two, the very last one here, is time freedom. As an entrepreneur, we have a privilege of being able to set the life and the world the way that we want to build the world. We get the privilege of building an organization and building an organizational design that gives us the ability to work the way that we want to work. And that gives us time freedom. There's nothing that personally I find more troublesome, offensive, and challenging than this disgusting word called J-O-B. And I will never, ever in my life trade time for dollars. And so this concept of a wage or this concept of a salary where you're trading time for dollars is repulsive to me. Entrepreneurship gives me freedom. It gives me time freedom to be who I want to be, to explore the path that I want to explore, and use as much time to pursue the entrepreneurial wealth that I want to pursue. And when I have time freedom, here's what's really empowering about time freedom. Time freedom gives me the freedom to pursue all the others. When I have freedom of time, I get to pursue my family's social relationships. I have the time freedom to pursue my physical health. I have the time freedom to pursue my mental health. And yes, I have the time freedom to pursue financial wealth. And I'm an unapologetic capitalist. I love making money. I'm never going to apologize for that. I'm a capitalist at heart. Give me an opportunity to create a new business where I get to create value for someone that's more than what the dollars are that they give me. I create a win for a customer, and as long as I can do that as a profit for myself, I create a win for myself. And that's a win-win relationship. That's what capitalism is all about. And I love creating dollars. I love building a pie that's bigger than it was before. I love expanding that pie, creating a financial wealth that is bigger, creating a financial world that is bigger and more empowered than it was when I started. And that's what financial wealth is all about. So when we understand these 5 forms of financial wealth, we then get to go build the business and design the business the way that we want to design it. But here's the key. We need to look at that business and we need to first understand who we are. What kind of an entrepreneur are we? What are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? What do we want to do? What are those wealth pursuits that we want to pursue? And then we need to go design that business based upon those goals and objectives that we have, and also our strengths and, more importantly, our weaknesses. And in my organizations, the very first thing that I do as fast as I possibly can is I exit out of that founder's role and I exit out of that CEO role, and I very quickly adopt a title of Vice President of Strategy and Development. Because you know what? The kind of founder that I am is that if I go back and look at it, I'm a great innovator. I'm a great creator. I can create all kinds of awesome designs and builds. But you know what? There's a whole lot of people that are better at running things on a day-to-day basis than I am. They love being managers. And an awesome manager is an awesome person. And you know what? It's not me. And the quicker that I can get out of the way of someone who is better at it than I am, the better my organization's going to be. So what does your business need? Not what do I need. And the biggest mistake founders make is that they have their egos thinking, I need to be in charge. Their egos think that I need to run things. And the first thing I'm trying to do is figure out, how do I get the hell out? I need to get out as quickly as I possibly can, because that's who I am. That's the type of entrepreneur that I am, and it's what my business needs. Does that make sense? So the sooner I can get out of the way, I'm awesome at creating, I'm awesome at building, I'm awesome at creating processes and procedures. But then there's someone else who's better at running it day to day. And if you sort of think about that last little type of entrepreneur that said that they're a builder, there might even be a type of an entrepreneur that loves innovating those incremental improvements. There might even be someone that can take those processes and procedures and make little micro improvements. And you know what? When we improve on a $10 million deal by 0.5%, did we just make a whole bunch of money? And so that person that's better than I am, and they can take that $10 million deal and they can innovate a process and procedure and improve the profit by 0.5%. Did they just make us a whole bunch of money? And you know what? That 0.5% just bored the hell out of me. I wanted to go make something new. I wanted to go build something new. It was time for me to go on and do something new. Thanks. So we have to leverage our priorities, and we have to align our roles to figure out who we are and what we're good at. And we have to go build that organization and build that organizational design to give us the freedom to accomplish and do that. The last N and C in the balance framework is nurture. Nurture our systems and cultivate our teams. We have to create this environment where those processes, those procedures, the systems that we put into place are going to be given that freedom to constantly be improved, constantly be tweaked, constantly be improved. And sometimes that means giving other people the autonomy, other people the authority so that they can do it. One of the very first things that I put into our entrepreneurial mindset in all of my organizations is that I don't need to say yes to my team. My team has the authority to do everything without me. What I told them was that I really want the ability to say no, but I don't need the ability to say yes. So keep me sort of informed on the big stuff, but I don't need to know anything on the detail. Because am I good at the detail? Probably not. Well, at least I don't want to be good at their detail. I want to only be good at my detail, not theirs. So I want to build the systems, the processes and procedures, and leverage the power of my team. I want to leverage the exponential power of my team to build an awesome organization. And I want to cultivate that team and cultivate a culture of awesomeness and incredibleness, because you know what? I only hire A-team members. And there's an old joke in business classes, in business school. A-team leaders hire A-team employees. C leaders hire C and D employees. And you can quickly tell exactly what kind of a leader you're going to go to work for by looking at the team that they have. Do they have an A team or do they have a C team? Because you know what? The ego, the hubris, the arrogance of a C-class leader, they can't handle letting go of authority. They got to keep their fingers in absolutely everything. They got to keep control of absolutely everything. Their arrogance, their ego, and their hubris won't let them create an awesome team. So can you let go? Do you want to be an A leader or do you want to be a C leader? That's the real challenge. So you got to cultivate and develop a team that is awesome. And my goal is that in the end, I want to create a legacy. And we talked about the story about one of my clients. He thought he created a great legacy. And when he went home to his wife, he found out that that was not the legacy that she wanted. It wasn't the legacy that his family wanted. He built this great financial legacy, but he didn't have the social legacy. And he almost lost his physical health wealth. He almost lost his mental health wealth. And if he'd gotten divorced, he would have lost a whole bunch of his financial wealth. That was supposed to be a bad dad joke. I failed miserably. That joke went right over the audience because it was way too true, crashed and burned.
That's how you know it was a bad dad joke.
That's how we know it was a bad dad joke, but some bad dad jokes actually get a little bit of a laugh. That was just way too true, hit way too home, way too close to home for us. So, are we going to build a legacy? That's what I want to do. I want to build a legacy. I want to build a legacy of what my social wealth is. I want to build a legacy of my physical health wealth. I want to build a legacy of my mental health wealth. And that's going to be different for each and every entrepreneur. It's not the same for everyone. We have to explore that for ourselves individually. And that's the balance framework. It's something that I care passionately about. Not just entrepreneurship, not just financial wealth, but what can we do and the impact that we get to have. And when we have that freedom, we can change a lot of lives. There's a QR code up here. If you want to download the PDFs, you can hit that QR code. You'll get hit with 3 little evaluation codes, and you should be able to download that PDF. My name's Greg Watson. You can reach me at that email. I'm with Pima Community College. I've been all over the world, and we've got upcoming workshops and galas on becoming an entrepreneur. We have intent marketing, and we have how has GPT changed keyword marketing. So we've got a lot of fun workshops coming up. So I like to have fun, and I hope we had a little bit of a good time here. So with that, I'm wrapping things up. If you got any questions, so.
Sorry, do we have time?
We have 10 minutes.
We've got
for questions.
All right, so maybe I'm a little bit on the other side of it. So I wanted to know your opinion on how can we best support entrepreneurs. So I'm still have my day job, community outreach for the city, and then my husband owns restaurants. He owned a lot of franchise restaurants. It was so much, I couldn't keep up with him. He sold it, opened 1 restaurant in January, and it's awesome. He gets home earlier, the kids love it. But like, how does your wife support you? Like, you know, like how can we support? Because a lot of times it's just so much, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to talk about the restaurant all night.
So
like you have a great marriage, so.
The first thing is that my wife has the absolute freedom to tell me that I'm stupid, and I don't. The rule number 1 is that I don't get offended, because you have to have some place that's safe, and there's difficulties in a personal relationship. So I'm going to break your question out into 2, because you went into personal. So you and I went into husband-wife support each other, and then I didn't know whether you wanted to go into the professional role that you talked about. But let's stay in the husband and wife role for just a moment, because I think that's fun. We have to create a safe environment where we have the freedom to disagree and express opinions. And so I have a date lunch that I get. One of the big purposes of that date lunch is for me to pitch ideas to my wife and for her to shoot them down. That's the whole purpose, because I know when she pauses and doesn't think that it's stupid, I'm on to something. So that's the whole purpose, because the best thing that entrepreneurs can do is to brainstorm ideas and kill off ideas as fast as we possibly can. So that, to this day, I have no intention. I got one business that I want to start left in my life, and that is to have a home health care business, because I need someone to take care of me when I'm in diapers. And that's the last business that I want to start. And when I find the right partner to start it with, we will start that, launch that business. But that I have no intention of starting any other business. But I still pitch ideas to my wife all the time, and she still tells me stupid, 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 stupid. And it's just fun, because that lifelong habit of creating ideas, going through that ideation process, is never going to leave me. And I have to have that safe zone for her to be able to tell me stupid. But then we have to have a time period where we can go out for dinner and we don't talk about work. Because otherwise we end up doing work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's, you nailed a very key, is that we have to create this concept, this mental concept of separating some work life from social life. And for me, a big part of that was that I said I want a week of vacation. We've got to designate some time that is not going to be for work, and we're going to turn work off. And it was a lot easier before cell phones, where now cell phones are with us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I made a priority to just simply say, we're going to schedule some time, and that time is non-work time. And whether it's 2 hours or whether it's 3 hours or it's a half day, I think that we can all find that ability to create and carve out some time and say, this is our time, and then this is our family time, and it's not work. And I think we have to do that for our social wealth. And I think that's a conscious choice that we choose to make. And I don't think it has to be any more complicated than that. Is that fair?
Yeah, I love it. Thank you.
Okay. Now, do we want to go on to the other question about working for the city?
Oh, no, I thought it was on the porno.
Okay.
I was just saying I have my own full-time job.
Okay.
Doing
Who else?
May I just add on to that, just and it might seem just a more broad thing. What you said sounds like a dream that's very unattainable to a lot of people. Is it actually possible to have all of that lovely moments with your wife, being with your family, seeing your grandchildren, without affecting the productivity of the actual company? Not to be another capitalist, but you wanted to. When I think of taking a week-long vacation, that's a week long of flow that's either not happening or that has to be delegated. How are you able to work those two without one overcoming the other?
That's a fantastic question. So, how can we exit ourselves from a business without harming productivity? So, as a leader, my father gave me this key point of advice a long time ago. He said the key to being a successful manager, and it doesn't matter what level of business you are at, is to train and develop your people so well that you have nothing to do. Now, he didn't really mean that you have nothing to do. What he meant was that it then allows you the freedom to go work on more sophisticated problem-solving projects. And so if you're a line-level supervisor and your team is doing all of their job plus all of your mundane work, you're now able to work on the more sophisticated analytics part of your job, the reporting, the analysis. And as you move up through a company, as you continue to train and develop your team, you keep freeing up your time, which goes back to this time freedom concept. You free up your time when you train and develop your people so well that you have nothing to do. A good manager does not keep themselves busy. There's an oxymoron that a lot of people confuse. If they think that they're proud about being busy, then they're probably doing a whole bunch of clerical roles that they should not be doing. So if we're busy being busy, we're not being productive. So a lot of people confuse productivity with action. And action is not being busy. So my father said to me, train and develop your people so well that you have nothing to do. That allows you freedom to go do your more sophisticated parts of your job. So I've always tried to build my organization so that my organization can run without me. And if they can run a week without me, then we're pretty good. And then if we can strategically plan and schedule a month for them to run without me, when I get back, I might have a little bit of stuff to do. But I've trained and developed a professional team, and that's a key. Do you have respect for your team, that you believe your team is professionals and that they can actually carry out their jobs? And that's what I believe in doing, is training and developing your team so well that they can run the organization without you. And I don't have any fear about that. So I do that. Are we done?
We have a little bit more, I mean, lunch is in 15 minutes, but we have time for one more question.
Hi.
So
I am definitely one of those creator types. You don't want me to figure out how to make it work. I just have these great ideas.
Cool, let's go build a business.
I just started, yeah.
Let's go build one.
Huh?
Let's go build a business.
Okay. But what I want, it's the delegation that I have. Well, I'm not doing well enough because I'm not good at all the other little things to make it all go up together. I have the great idea and I can get it running, but then it's running because I'm doing all the stuff. But then it keeps me from doing the things that I like about the business. And so I'm a fashion designer, and my company is based on kind of a creative, sensual living lifestyle. And so I wanted to be big like Ralph Lauren. He has his image, I have my image, but that is where I want to be. And but I'm doing all this stuff down here that I can't like get it further up there. So it's like this struggle of how do I divide my time so I can, or do I just find people on like what is that? Those work sites.
Fiverr or any of the other gig sites.
But then I have to pay them, but I'm not at that level where I can pay them. So I think my issue is the worrying about the financial part. Like I have a blockage with that. And so I signed up to go to Pima for accounting. But
Woohoo!
Yeah?
I just said woohoo.
Okay. Because I want to tackle this thing so that I can get through it and I don't know or should I just figure out
Okay.
alone and hire an accountant person to sort all that stuff so I can
So-
keep working.
I said woohoo to accounting because if you don't know your numbers, you're going to get in trouble. But you just told us and described yourself as a person that wants to be the creative fashion designer, which means that you need to hire Sally's bookkeeping service to do your accounting. You do not want to go do our accounting program. As much as I want you to go do our accounting program, and as much as I love our accounting and tax program, there are people that should be going and doing our accounting and tax program. And I love our tax certificate program because that's even better, because then they understand the tax consequences of our accounting. But you need Sally's bookkeeping service to do that. And every corner of town has Sally's bookkeeping service, and they're perfect for small businesses, and they don't charge you very much. So Sally's bookkeeping service is going to take care of all of your bookkeeping, all of your tax compliance, and she won't charge you very much. And I just made Sally's bookkeeping service up because I helped Sally's bookkeeping service up in a different state many, many decades ago. I helped her get set up. She's great at accounting and taxes, horrible at marketing. So you nailed the key challenge that we all face as entrepreneurs. How do we balance time and money when we don't have money? And that's a startup process that we all go through. And the key, I'm going to tell you, comes back to this real solid question of finding the tasks that allow us to generate revenue so that we can pay for those tasks. And all too often, we get focused in all of these minutiae of accounting. We get focused in minutiae of other things, and we're not doing those one or two little things that will go generate revenue. And what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to come spend an hour or 2 hours with me, and we're going to sit down, no charge, and we're just going to sit down and we're just going to figure out one or two things that are the most optimal revenue generating opportunities for you. And when we can figure out those revenue generating opportunities, it'll give you a little bit of the cash flow to start to pay for those most annoying and irritating tasks that are dragging you down, that are time sinks and are emotional energy sucks. And when we can get rid of those emotional energy sucks, and we can get rid of one of those time sinks, it's going to free you up on your time to do other things. And by the way, I love your industry. A couple years ago, there was a little shoe company that was in Europe that was a really famous luxury brand that went up for sale. I tried to buy it. I failed. Do you remember what brand that was? Jimmy Choo. I tried to buy them and I failed. So Another company bought them out. And now they're just in a warehouse of other brands.
Yeah, I know, it's so sad.
And I looked at it and I really wanted to say there are some really cool things that could have been done with that brand. And there are awesome people. I don't need to be the designers to do that, but somebody needs to be able to create and run that organization and launch it and get it into all the distribution channels. And I wanted to have that be one of those big crapshoot ventures that would either put my name way out there in one of those success stories or failure stories, because I thought it'd be really. Yes. So, by the way, I sell leather jackets and I sell Guayabera shirts. So I know your industry a little bit, but I do it in very small bits. On the Guayabera part, I do it mostly drop shipping, and I am the second largest distributor of Guayabera shirts in the United States. So I know the industry, I know how to get them manufactured, I know how to get the material sourced, I know how to get it cut, I know how to get it sewn. So I'm pretty good at it. But that's it. So thank you very much. We're out of time.